Across the scorched expanse of the Kalahari savanna, dawn breaks cold. A lone mother honey badger emerges. Deep inside the underground den, her vulnerable single cub waits in total darkness. If she fails to find food today, both will starve. Her keen black nose twitches rapidly against the crisp morning breeze, sifting through microscopic scent trails across hundreds of dry yards. She steps out onto the open dust plain, moving with an unmistakable low-slung rolling trot that signals absolute fearlessness to watching eyes. Every predator in this harsh ecosystem recognizes her unmistakable silver mantle, an ancient warning sign etched across the dry African landscape. Heavy curved front claws scrape the hard-baked earth, specialized tools honed for ripping into underground nests and tearing through rock-hard termite mounds. She approaches a rocky outcrop scattered with fallen deadwood, the prime hunting ground for hidden reptiles and venomous scorpions seeking morning warmth. A sudden rustle beneath a hollow log catches her attention. Her muscular shoulders bunch tightly as she prepares for the first strike. With explosive strength, she wedges her powerful forelimbs under the decayed bark, ripping the heavy timber aside in an instant. A large, thick-tailed scorpion raises its venomous stinger defensively, but the honey badger snaps forward without a fraction of hesitation. The scorpion's potent sting glances harmlessly off her thick, rubbery hide as she crunches through the armored prey in mere seconds. One scorpion is barely a mouthful. Her caloric demands are extreme, and her cub's survival depends on securing substantially larger meals. She continues moving east across the sun-drenched flats, her low profile slicing through tall golden grass with tireless, mechanical endurance. She freezes mid-stride. A faint scent carried on the warming air heralds an enormous prize and an equally lethal challenge. On the distant horizon stands the towering silhouette of an ancient baobab, where thousands of wild bees guard their liquid gold. Undeterred by the mounting swarm of defensive bees, the honey badger charges straight toward the base of the massive baobab trunk. Her thick claws bite deeply into the rough-grooved bark as she climbs effortlessly upward toward the buzzing tree hollow. Hundreds of furious African honeybees swarm her eyes and ears, launching thousands of venomous stings against her thick mantle. Her loose rubbery skin acts as an impenetrable shield, absorbing countless painful stings without slowing her relentless advance into the nest. Reaching the hollow entrance, she thrusts both forepaws deep inside, ripping away thick slabs of golden honeycomb dripping with rich larvae. She gorges ravenously on the protein-rich bee brood and sweet wax, ignoring the cloud of insects stinging her coarse black snout. Satisfied and buzzing with raw energy, she scrambles down the baobab trunk and drops heavily back onto the dusty savanna floor. She vigorously rolls in the dry dust to dislodge the remaining bees, her tough coat completely unharmed by the intense assault. The morning sun climbs higher into the pale sky as she presses forward across the scrubland in search of denser calories. Entering a labyrinth of sun-warmed calcrete boulders, she immediately catches the pungent musk of a large reptile basking on the rocks. She tracks the fresh scent trail along narrow stone crevices, her sharp claws clicking rhythmically against the sun-baked granite slabs. A heavily armored rock monitor lizard detects her approach, whipping its powerful muscular tail and hissing a deep, resonant warning. The monitor inflates its throat with air to look twice its size, but the honey badger simply lowers her heavy head. The monitor lashes its thick tail like a whip, yet she lunges under the strike to clamp her iron jaws shut. With brutal efficiency, she pins the struggling reptile beneath her heavy forepaws, securing a vital, nutrient-rich prize for the long day. Leaving the rocky copy behind, she marches relentlessly toward the scorching red sand dunes, where deadly heat waves shimmer under midday sun. Her heavy paws leave deep imprints in the burning orange sand, with thick pads fully hardened against scorching desert ground. Bleached camelthorn bushes cast sharp black shadows across the sand, creating an ideal ambush maze for predators sheltering from the heat. Her keen nose dips low, catching the sharp, unmistakable chemical musk of a large venomous reptile recently crossing the dune ridge. Fresh serpentine tracks cut a distinct winding S-shaped groove through the soft red sand, leading straight toward a dense, thorny thicket. Without a moment of hesitation, she locks onto the fresh scent trail, lowering her muscular shoulders to pursue the lethal quarry. She pushes directly into the tangled web of bleaching thorn roots, completely unbothered by the razor-sharp spines scraping against her hide. A sharp, dry rustle erupts from beneath a hollow camelthorn root, signaling that her quarry has detected her rapid approach. Her dark eyes narrow with ferocious predatory focus, recognizing the lethal nature of the subterranean adversary waiting in the deep shadows. A flash of bright yellowish-golden scales glides smoothly across the red sand, slipping out into an open defensive striking circle. The honey badger bursts through the thorny barrier with aggressive speed, cutting off any possible avenue of escape for the serpent. Cornered, a massive Cape Cobra rears its upper body a meter into the air, spreading its broad golden hood defensively. Two of Africa's most fearless desert hunters now stand face to face on the burning sand, locked in an ancient predatory duel. The cobra displays a healed scar across its flared hood, hissing with explosive force while tracking every twitch of the badger. Dropping low to the ground, the honey badger begins a calculated circle, preparing to step directly into the lethal strike zone. She darts forward with sudden speed, baiting the cobra into striking early before its defensive hood can fully align. The Cape Cobra launches a lightning-fast forward strike, fangs flashing in the midday sun, snapping shut mere inches above the sand. Using her loose rubbery skin to absorb the near miss, she pivots instantly, slipping beneath the serpent's flared golden hood. The cobra whips back and delivers a rapid defensive bite to her cheek, injecting lethal neurotoxin into her dense facial tissue. Ignoring the venomous puncture, she clamps powerful jaws onto the back of the cobra's head, crushing the vertebrae with iron force. A single violent headshake breaks the serpent's spine, ending the ferocious duel on the scorching red sand of the savanna. The battle is won, but the cobra's potent neurotoxin now courses rapidly through her bloodstream, attacking her central nervous system. Her muscular legs buckle under the toxic onslaught, and she slumps heavily onto the warm orange sand, sinking into unconsciousness. Lying motionless beside the dead cobra, specialized biological mutations in her blood receptors begin neutralizing the lethal cobra venom proteins. For 2 hours beneath the blazing African sun, the savanna falls dead silent as her miraculous internal antidote does its work. A sudden twitch of her black whiskers breaks the stillness, her dark eyes flickering open as consciousness surges back into life. Rising steadily to all 4 feet, she violently shakes the red dust from her silver coat, completely revitalized and unharmed. Without missing a beat, she begins devouring the neutralized Cape Cobra, consuming the venomous reptile headfirst for essential survival calories. With her belly full of protein and her strength restored, she resumes her march toward the rocky savanna outcrops ahead. Approaching the sun-drenched granite kopje, a new predatory shadow watches from above, guarding the high territory with keen golden eyes. Perched high atop a sun-warmed granite boulder, a large adult caracal watches the badger's steady advance with intense, its long black-tufted ears twitch sharply in the warm breeze, sensing an intruder boldly entering its strictly defended rocky hunting territory. Unaware or simply uncaring of the feline watcher, the mother honey badger scrambles purposefully up the lower granite stone shelves. As she crests the rocky ridge, the caracal steps directly into view, snarling a sharp territorial warning with fully extended ivory claws. The agile wildcat lowers its sleek, tawny body into a tense, stalking crouch, calculating the angle for an ambush strike. Instead of retreating, the honey badger drops her heavy head and emits a ferocious, rattling war chuff from deep within. With explosive feline acceleration, the caracal launches forward across the stone, delivering a lightning-fast claw swipe aimed squarely at her exposed neck. The razor-sharp claws rake across her thick, rubbery hide, but the loose skin shifts harmlessly, completely deflecting the lethal impact. Instantly pivoting within her loose skin, she counterattacks with terrifying ferocity, snapping bone-crushing jaws straight toward the caracal's front paws. Shocked by her total refusal to back down, the agile feline leaps backward onto a high boulder, ears pinned flat. She presses her relentless assault forward, lunging up the rocks with snapping jaws that force the agile predator further back. Recognizing that this armored powerhouse cannot be subdued or intimidated, the caracal wisely decides to abandon the dangerous territorial confrontation entirely. With one final defensive hiss, the wildcat bounds gracefully over the granite crest, vanishing into the rocky labyrinth beyond. Standing solitary upon the high boulder, the honey badger asserts complete dominance over the ridge, scent-marking the sun-warmed granite stone. With the feline threat neutralized, she turns toward the shadowy gorge ahead, driven by the eternal duty of feeding her cub. Entering the cool shadows of the dry river gorge, she moves stealthily between towering granite cliffs carved by ancient seasonal floodwaters. Dry river gravel crunches softly beneath her padded feet as she follows a faint, musky scent winding deep between fallen driftwood. Her keen nostrils flare against cool riverbed silt, detecting the thick, ancient aroma of a massive, cold-blooded predator lurking close nearby. She halts beneath a towering overhang, her sharp eyes scanning the deep, shadowy recesses of a massive granite crevice straight ahead. Inside the cavernous rock fissure, the ambient temperature drops sharply, creating a secluded den completely untouched by the scorching savanna sun. 4 meters of thick, muscular coils shift silently across the stone shelf, scales shimmering with dark olive and brown natural camouflage. An enormous African rock python uncoils its heavy, muscular body, its distinctive cloudy left eye gleaming in the faint canyon light. Giant constrictor rears its broad triangular head, blocking the narrow gorge path with overwhelming muscular strength and lethal predatory intent. Unintimidated by the python's sheer size, the mother honey badger bristles her silver mantle and emits a fierce, sharp, warning growl. The serpent pulls its thick neck back into a tight S-shaped strike curve, forked black tongue sampling the badger's heat signature. With terrifying explosive force, the python strikes forward, gaping jaws aimed straight at the honey badger's stocky head and exposed neck. She ducks with lightning reflexes, the serpent's heavy strike crashing against bare rock as her thick, loose skin slips past danger. Seizing the brief opening, she lunges forward and clamps powerful, crushing jaws directly onto the python's thick, muscular neck vertebrae. The massive snake thrashes, wrapping suffocating coils around her body, but her rubbery hide allows her to twist inside the constriction. Delivering a bone-snapping bite, she forces the giant constrictor to unravel its coils and retreat deep into the dark crevice. Climbing out of the shadowed gorge, she enters an expansive grove of umbrella acacias bathed in rich golden-orange late-afternoon sunlight. Tall, dry grass sways gently beneath the sprawling canopy, concealing the movements of Africa's most secretive and deadly arboreal apex predator. She stops abruptly beside an ancient trunk, her sensitive black nostrils catching the faint, unmistakable scent of a nearby hunting leopard. High up on a thick, horizontal acacia bough, a powerful adult leopard rests in silent ambush, watching the ground below. Its piercing amber eyes lock onto the badger, a unique circular ring rosette marking its muscular right shoulder in the sun. The leopard bunches its powerful shoulder muscles, shifting weight along the rough bark in preparation for a sudden downward ambush pounce. Looking directly upward into the branches, the mother honey badger detects the spotted feline silhouette against the bright, sunlit acacia canopy. The big cat creeps lower along the heavy bough, glaring down with cold calculation at the small but formidable creature beneath. Standing her ground, the badger bears sharp white canines, releasing a harsh, rattling war hiss that echoes through the quiet grove. She forcefully claws the tree trunk, demonstrating her lethal digging weapons to warn the watching predator against dropping to the ground. The leopard curls its upper lip into a silent snarl, long claws digging deep into the bark as it hesitates. Refusing to alter her course, she marches boldly directly beneath the heavy branch, keeping her bristling silver mantle held high. Knowing that tackling an armored honey badger risks crippling injury, the wise leopard chooses to remain perched safely on its branch. She strides out from beneath the predator's perch, her unyielding courage once again commanding absolute respect from the savanna's greatest hunters. As the sun dips toward the horizon, she presses forward across the savanna, heading toward the open twilight dust flats. Across the dust-choked flat, 4 spotted hyenas fan out in the crimson twilight, their eerie calls echoing across the cooling savanna. She halts abruptly in the open dirt, dark eyes scanning the shifting silhouettes circling through the rising evening dust. Heavy hyena paws pace restlessly across the cracked earth, closing the distance to surround the solitary intruder from all sides. 4 seasoned clan hunters form a tightening perimeter, testing her resolve with low, menacing postures and bared, bone-crushing teeth. Dropping her stocky body low, the mother honey badger bristles her silver mantle and emits a fierce, rattling war snarl. The bold lead hyena darts forward in a mocking feint, testing whether the small creature will turn and run. Instead of fleeing, she deploys her potent anal scent gland, releasing a suffocating, foul musk that stuns the approaching predators. The lead hyena recoils in disgust as the pungent chemical defense burns its sensitive nostrils, breaking its aggressive forward momentum. Capitalizing on their hesitation, she erupts into a violent spinning charge, snapping her iron jaws at anything stepping within reach. When a second hyena lunges from behind, her loose rubbery hide shifts instantly, allowing her to whip around and retaliate. With jaws dripping saliva and coarse fur standing tall, she roars with absolute fury, proving she will fight to the death. Realizing that this armored powerhouse cannot be overwhelmed without severe injury, the spotted hyenas reluctantly step back 10 paces. The clan matriarch lowers her head and emits a sullen whoop, deciding that the fierce little fighter is not worth the risk. One by one, the 4 hyenas retreat into the gathering purple twilight, leaving the victorious mother in complete possession of the plains. Standing alone in the cooling dust flat, she catches her breath and turns eastward, ready to complete her perilous journey home. Under the vast silver expanse of the African night, the mother honey badger trots tirelessly across the cool, moonlit savanna grassland. Her heavy padded feet move silently across the cool, dewy soil, leaving a faint trail across the silver-lit landscape. Night brings new nocturnal predators to the savanna, but her keen black nose constantly tests the chilly air for lingering danger. In the distance stands the towering silhouette of an ancient dead ironwood tree, sheltering the hidden burrow beneath its massive roots. She reaches the perimeter of the ancient root system, slowing her rolling trot into a cautious, highly alert stalking gait. Before approaching the entrance, she circles the gnarled roots, inspecting the dusty ground for any unfamiliar tracks or feline scents. Her wet black nostrils dip low into the burrow entrance, confirming the reassuring, familiar scent of her sleeping cub resting inside. She releases a soft, low-frequency maternal chuff into the dark tunnel, signaling that the perilous daily hunt is finally complete. Deep underground, the single honey badger cub stirs from slumber, blinking fluffy eyes as it recognizes its mother's distinct call. The hungry young cub scrambles upward through the sandy tunnel, eager to greet the returning matriarch at the moonlit threshold. Mother and cub reunite in the soft silver moonlight, nuzzling muzzles in an affectionate display of fierce survival and devotion. She shares vital, protein-rich nourishment gathered throughout her exhausting 24-hour journey, securing her fragile offspring's growth for another precious day. The cub feeds eagerly beside the shelter of the roots, while the battle-hardened mother stands watchful guard over the perimeter. Side by side, they retreat deep into the subterranean darkness of the den, safe from the cold night predators outside. Above ground, the vast African savanna rests in peaceful silver stillness, having tested and failed to break this indomitable mother. As the first golden rays of a new dawn pierce the cool mist, the mother honey badger leads her cub outside. The small cub blinks curiously against the rising sun, sniffing the crisp morning air filled with the scent of wild savanna. Her sharp eyes scan the vast horizon, ever watchful for rival predators that patrol the open plains at first light. She sets off across the golden grass with her rolling trot, her offspring eagerly mimicking every single stride behind her. Survival in this ruthless landscape requires mastery of the earth, where every meal must be unearthed with tireless determination. With effortless strength, she rips open a hardened clump of dry soil, exposing a fat grub for her curious cub. The young cub pounces clumsily on the squirming prize, taking its very first steps toward becoming an independent savanna hunter. Watching quietly, the battle-tested mother reinforces the unbreakable confidence that defines her species across the African continent. When a small sand lizard darts across the red dust, she stands back, encouraging the young one to give chase. Kicking up tiny puffs of orange dust, the spirited cub chases the nimble reptile between scattered clumps of bleached grass. Pinning the small lizard beneath its front paws, the cub looks up proudly, absorbing the vital lesson of predatory persistence. Her scarred silver mantle gleams under the radiant morning sun, a living testament to 24 hours of relentless, victorious battles. In the unforgiving Kalahari, survival is not a permanent triumph, but a daily trial earned through courage and unbreakable willpower. Side by side, mother and cub march forward into the radiant wilderness, ready to confront whatever deadly challenges await them today. The wild tale of the fearless honey badger continues, as the eternal circle of African savanna survival turns once more. Moving beyond her familiar hunting grounds, the mother honey badger enters a vast valley dominated by towering red clay termite mounds. Massive earthen pillars rise like desert monoliths against the pale morning sky, sheltering complex subterranean kingdoms beneath the hard-baked savanna soil. She approaches a towering 3-meter mound, pressing her sensitive black snout against the sun-baked clay to pinpoint vibrations deep within. Her heavy curved front claws strike the rock-solid structure with explosive power, chipping away thick slabs of concrete-like red clay. With relentless mechanical strength, she excavates a deep trench, breaching the mound's outer fortress to expose rich chambers of nutritious larvae. She thrusts her black snout deep into the exposed galleries, ravenously licking up thousands of protein-rich termites and fat alate queens. A sudden rustle near the base fissures draws her attention, where a heavily armored desert reptile lurks within the deep shadows. Her dark eyes narrow with predatory focus as she tracks the heavy scaly tail sliding between cracked calcrete rocks nearby. A large armored-plated lizard emerges aggressively, hissing a sharp territorial warning while flexing its heavily scaled, spiny defensive body. The lizard lashes its spiny tail violently, but she ducks beneath the blow, driving her stocky body straight toward the target. Closing the gap instantly, she clamps her crushing jaws around the reptile's armored flank, overpowering its rigid defenses with sheer jaw strength. With a decisive shake of her heavy neck, she subdues the struggling lizard, securing another vital meal on the dry savanna floor. She feeds efficiently on the protein-heavy catch, replenishing the massive energy reserves required to sustain her growing cub back at the den. Wiping her bloodied muzzle against the dry sand, she stands tall under the warming morning sun, revitalized and ready to press forward. A distant raptor screech cuts across the sky as she turns toward the arid sand plains, sensing new challenges rising with the heat. Across the shimmering red dunes, a colossal shadow sweeps across the burning sand, cast by Africa's largest avian apex predator. Perched high on a bleached camelthorn branch, a majestic martial eagle tracks the badger's movements with razor-sharp predatory vision. The honey badger halts instantly, tilting her scarred head to lock fierce, unblinking eyes onto the winged hunter above. With a massive 6-foot wingspan, the eagle launches into a sweeping dive, testing the ground predator's unyielding nerve. She rears onto her hind legs, jaws snapping fiercely at the razor talons, slicing mere inches above her bristling silver mantle. Unable to find an opening against the armored fighter, the raptor catches a thermal updraft and spirals harmlessly away. Dropping back onto all 4 paws, she turns her attention back to the burning earth, catching a fresh subterranean scent. Her keen black nostrils trace a subtle depression in the red sand, where a sidewinding horned adder lies buried in ambush. Hidden beneath the shifting grains, a venomous horned adder waits perfectly camouflaged, its lethal strike coiled and ready. With explosive speed, the honey badger tears into the sand dune, scattering red dust to unearth the venomous serpent. The adder bursts from the sand, striking aggressively, but its short fangs glance harmlessly off her thick, rubbery cheek. She counters instantly, pinning the thrashing snake with heavy claws and crushing its head with a single powerful bite. She consumes the venomous viper in seconds, absorbing rich nutrients while her immune system effortlessly handles any traces of venom. Standing atop the red dune crest, she surveys the vast, shimmering desert expanse as early afternoon shadows begin to stretch. Driven by relentless maternal instinct, she begins the long trek back toward the eastern scrubland, watchful for any new threats. Leaving the sand dunes behind, she enters an expansive dried mud pan, where cracked clay tiles bake under the blazing afternoon sun. Her hardened, leathery footpads move effortlessly across the razor-sharp clay edges, completely impervious to the rough and abrasive desert terrain. Her wet black nostrils flare sharply as she catches the pungent, musky scent of opportunistic scavengers shadowing her path. At the edge of the dry pan, a pair of black-backed jackals paces restlessly, eyeing the lone badger with cunning persistence. The lead jackal whines softly, its large ears twitching forward as it calculates whether the badger can be harassed into fleeing. Sensing their encroachment, the mother honey badger spins around, dropping into a wide combative stance with bristling silver fur. The braver jackal darts in from the flank, but she launches a ferocious countercharge, driving her stocky body straight forward. Her bone-crushing jaws snap shut mere inches from the jackal's muzzle, sending the agile scavenger scrambling backward in panic. She pursues them aggressively across the open clay flats, completely scattering the opportunistic pair with her unstoppable territorial fury. Halting at the safety of the thorn scrub, the jackals glance back one last time, acknowledging that this adversary cannot be defeated. With the scavengers driven off, she investigates a steep clay bank, detecting a hidden desert bullfrog buried deep in dried mud. Her curved digging claws slice through the hardened clay slabs like iron chisels, breaking into the sealed underground chamber in seconds. She devours the moisture-rich amphibian immediately, extracting critical hydration and protein to sustain her ongoing journey across the arid flats. Standing dominant in the center of the vast white pan, she embodies the supreme adaptability of Africa's most formidable small predator. She turns toward the rocky granite corridor ahead, stepping steadily into the lengthening shadows to continue her relentless survival quest. Entering the narrow granite corridor, the honey badger navigates between towering boulders where deep fissures harbor concealed subterranean arachnids. Her sensitive snout hovers over a silk-lined burrow entrance, catching the distinct chemical signature of a giant baboon spider. With rapid, precise claw strokes, she excavates the vertical silk funnel, tearing through rock-hard calcrete earth in mere seconds. A massive horned baboon spider rears defensively with fangs dripping venom, but she crushes it beneath heavy paws. She devours the nutrient-dense arachnid without hesitation, completely unbothered by its potent neurotoxic venom glands and defensive bristles. Emerging onto an open calcrete terrace, she picks up the pungent, earthy musk of an enormous resident savanna herbivore. Guarding a deep sleeping burrow beneath the rocks, an adult warthog raises its bristly tail in sudden defensive alarm. The massive warthog drops onto its front knees, displaying deadly curved ivory tusks capable of goring large savanna predators. Standing directly in its path, the mother honey badger bristles her silver mantle and emits a fierce, rattling roar. The warthog lunges forward with a threatening mock charge, but she advances boldly, snapping jaws straight at its snout. Startled by her terrifying aggression, the heavy boar halts abruptly, its sharp hooves skidding across the sun-baked stone. Weighing 80 kilograms, the heavily tusked pig decides that tangling with a relentless honey badger is far too dangerous. With a sharp warning snort, the massive warthog wheels around and retreats swiftly backward into its secure rock burrow. She marches past the contested burrow without slowing, her legendary reputation clearing every single obstacle across the savanna. As late afternoon sunlight deepens to rich amber, she approaches the shadowed riverbed, preparing for the coming evening chill. As dusk descends over the dry riverbed, the golden amber light fades into deep purple shadows along the rugged canyon floor. She trots steadily along the ancient gravel bed, her silver mantle glowing softly against the darkening granite canyon walls. Her keen black nostrils twitch rapidly, catching the musky scent of a nomadic predator pack entering the gorge. On a high granite ledge above, 3 African wild dogs appear, their mottled coats blending seamlessly with the twilight rocks. Large, rounded ears swivel forward to track the lone traveler below, assessing whether this small creature is viable prey. Trotting down the steep gravel slope, the pack spreads out, attempting to cut off her path through the narrow riverbed. Instead of fleeing, the mother honey badger halts and drops low, flaring her coarse silver mantle in unmistakable warning. She bears sharp white canines and emits a ferocious rattling hiss that echoes loudly off the sheer granite cliff walls. The lead wild dog darts forward in a probing lunge, but she snaps violently, driving her stocky body straight forward. Her thick, rubbery skin twists easily, allowing her to spin instantly and snap her crushing jaws at the flanking hunter. Deploying her pungent anal scent gland with an aggressive charge, she creates a foul defensive barrier across the gravel floor. The wild dogs recoil sharply, sneezing in disgust as the suffocating chemical musk burns their sensitive nasal passages. Recognizing that this armored fighter offers no easy meal, the pack bounds gracefully up the opposite slope, conceding the passage. Standing solitary in the cooling riverbed, she shakes the dust from her silver coat, her unyielding courage holding the ground. As the first stars emerge in the deep indigo sky, she resumes her steady march toward the home territory ahead. Exiting the rocky gorge onto the moonlit plains, the mother honey badger continues her tireless march across the dewy savanna grass. Her thick padded paws step silently over silver grass blades, leaving a faint dark trail beneath the luminous African night sky. Her black snout twitches as she catches the fresh scent of a slender feline predator patrolling the open grassy expanse. Bathed in cool silver moonlight, a solitary cheetah scans the vast open plain, her lean athletic frame poised with intense alertness. Distinct black tear lines frame her sharp golden eyes as she detects the unmistakable rolling trot of the approaching honey badger. Refusing to alter her homeward course, the badger strides steadily forward, her coarse silver mantle glowing brightly under the glowing moon. Spotting the fearless mustelid entering her hunting grounds, the cheetah drops into a low, defensive crouch amid the silvery grass. The honey badger immediately responds by lowering her heavy head, baring sharp white teeth and rattling a fierce warning growl. The agile cheetah hisses sharply, arching her slender spotted back while keeping a cautious distance from the heavily armored intruder. When the cheetah makes a sudden lightning-fast feint, the badger lunges forward explosively, snapping powerful jaws directly at her paws. Startled by the ferocious counterattack, the swift cat springs backward, realizing this armored opponent will fight without a shred of fear. Valuing speed and self-preservation above all else, the wise cheetah turns her slender body away to avoid a crippling clash. With a fluid burst of effortless speed, the spotted feline bounds away across the plain, vanishing silently into the dark horizon. Standing solitary beneath the full moon, the mother badger rubs her flank against the grass, asserting total dominance over the plain. With the savanna clear of rivals, she presses forward under the starry night sky, heading steadily toward her home den. Deep in the midnight savanna, she approaches a massive excavated earth mound, where fresh underground diggings reveal rich insect tunnels. A giant earthen crater yawns open under the moonlight, freshly carved out of the hard savanna clay by nocturnal excavators. Her keen black nose investigates the fresh excavation, catching the rich scent of thousands of subterranean harvester ants swarming below. Thrusting her heavy curved front claws into the trench, she tears open the earthen chambers with violent, efficient digging strokes. A large adult aardvark emerges from the deeper tunnel, startled by the aggressive intruder trespassing on its newly dug feeding site. The peculiar nocturnal mammal raises its long donkey-like ears, sniffing the cool night air with its elongated, pig-like tubular snout. Two specialized nocturnal savanna diggers now stand face-to-face over the rich insect prize in the silver glow of midnight. The mother honey badger bristles her silver mantle aggressively, lunging forward with a ferocious rattling hiss to claim the trench. Unwilling to engage the ferocious predator, the heavy aardvark wheels around and rapidly retreats into a deeper escape tunnel. Possessing the breached earthen chamber uncontested, she thrusts her snout deep inside, licking up massive clusters of nutritious subterranean ants. Thousands of swarming soldier ants bite fiercely against her face, but her dense hide renders their defensive stings completely harmless. Gorging on the bountiful harvest, she emerges from the trench, shaking red dirt and harmless insects from her silver coat. With her belly full once more, she resumes her homeward journey across the tranquil, star-drenched plains of the Kalahari. The midnight air grows sharply colder as the moon begins its western descent, signaling the approach of the pre-dawn hours. On the distant moonlit horizon, the familiar silhouette of the ancient ironwood tree beckons her toward the safety of the den. Trotting rapidly across the cold, dewy grass, the mother honey badger approaches the ancient ironwood tree, sensing an immediate threat ahead. She freezes at the den perimeter, her sharp black eyes locking onto an ominous serpentine coil blocking the sandy threshold. Her nostrils flare as she detects the pungent chemical musk of a large venomous serpent coiled directly outside her cub's den. Coiled tightly in the entrance shadow, a heavy desert cobra blocks the tunnel, its predatory attention fixed on the subterranean den. The serpent rears upward, spreading its defensive hood and hissing violently as it detects the mother's rapid, furious approach. Driven by fierce maternal rage, the mother honey badger drops low, baring sharp white teeth and unleashing an ear-shattering roar. Without a fraction of hesitation, she charges straight at the reared cobra, throwing her stocky, muscular body into the strike zone. The cobra lashes out with a lightning strike, but its fangs glance harmlessly off her thick, rubbery neck and silver mantle. Pivoting instantly, she clamps crushing iron jaws behind the cobra's hood, snapping the cervical vertebrae with overwhelming, lethal force. A single violent headshake ends the threat, clearing the burrow threshold and leaving the lifeless serpent on the cold sand. She leans over the entrance, releasing urgent, reassuring maternal chuffs into the dark tunnel to summon her hidden cub outside. Hearing its mother's familiar voice, the small, fluffy cub scrambles up from the depths of the den, completely unharmed. She thoroughly inspects her precious offspring, nuzzling its face and ensuring that the lethal intruder caused no harm whatsoever. Together at the cleared burrow mouth, they feed on the neutralized serpent, transforming a deadly ambush into vital, life-giving nourishment. As false dawn ignites the eastern horizon with radiant gold, the mother badger stands victorious, her family and territory secured. With the old den compromised by the cobra, the mother honey badger initiates an urgent relocation across the golden morning savanna. Her small cub scrambles to match her determined rolling stride, learning to navigate the dense web of bleached thorn bushes. Every sense remains razor-sharp as she monitors the scrubland, guarding her vulnerable offspring against opportunistic ambush predators. Perched high on a distant dead acacia branch, a hunting leopard spots the moving pair across the sunlit clearing. Piercing amber eyes lock onto the small white mantle of the cub, the big cat calculating an angle of pursuit. A sudden shift in the morning breeze carries the faint feline musk directly to the mother's flared black nostrils. Reacting instantly, she nudges her cub deep into a dense camelthorn thicket, sheltering it beneath razor-sharp defensive spines. The young cub presses flat against the red sand, remaining completely motionless and silent within the protective thorn fortress. Stepping boldly out into the open sunlight, she flares her coarse silver mantle, issuing a fearless visual challenge. Mother badger and distant leopard lock eyes across 50 yards of open savanna, establishing a tense predatory standoff. She bears sharp white canines and emits a sharp, rattling war chuff, demonstrating absolute readiness to defend her young. Recognizing the formidable fury of an enraged mother honey badger, the wise leopard chooses to remain safely perched above. With the aerial stalker deterred, she calls her cub from the thorny refuge, continuing their steady westward migration. Approaching a rugged calcrete ridge, she inspects promising rock crevices that offer impenetrable subterranean protection for her family. Leading her cub beneath massive granite boulders, she prepares to establish a secure new stronghold on the African savanna. From their secure new rock stronghold, the mother honey badger leads her cub onto the sun-warmed calcrete terrace to begin hunting. She navigates the layered granite slabs with focused precision, searching for deep crevices where venomous desert scorpions shelter from heat. Her keen black nostrils flare against the stone cleft, detecting the pungent chemical aroma of a giant thick-tailed scorpion underneath. Beneath the heavy stone, a massive thick-tailed scorpion raises its swollen tail, primed to inject potent neurotoxic venom upon disturbance. With explosive muscular leverage, she wedges her front digging claws beneath the slab, flipping the heavy stone aside with ease. The exposed arachnid lashes its venomous stinger repeatedly against her cheek, but the thick rubbery hide effortlessly deflects the strikes. With surgical precision, she pins the flailing scorpion to the stone with one heavy paw, neutralizing its lethal defensive weapon. She bites off the venomous stinger with a single precise snap, transforming the dangerous arachnid into the safe, disabled practice prey. Stepping back with an encouraging chuff, she invites her eager cub forward to practice its predatory skills on live quarry. The spirited cub pounces with clumsy enthusiasm, pinning the disabled scorpion beneath its small paws just as its mother demonstrated. Crunching through the rich chitin exoskeleton, the young cub devours its prize, absorbing an invaluable survival lesson in predatory dominance. Watching quietly, the battle-hardened mother rests her heavy head, satisfied that her legacy of unyielding courage is successfully passed on. As the sun reaches its zenith overhead, mother and cub ascend the higher granite shelves, patrolling their newly claimed rocky domain. Standing together atop the highest boulder, they look out across the boundless savanna, undisputed masters of their harsh and beautiful world. Under the blazing African sun, the indomitable spirit of the honey badger reigns supreme over the vast and wild savanna. As scorching midday heat peaks, the mother honey badger leaves the high rocks, heading toward a drying savanna waterhole. Cracked mud and shrinking murky pools bake under the blazing sun, drawing thirsty animals to the treacherous communal water source. Parched from hours of relentless activity, she approaches the water's edge, lowering her black muzzle to lap the cool liquid. Her tongue laps the murky surface, but her sharp senses remain fully alert to subtle ripples stirring beneath the water. Two unblinking armored eyes and raised nostrils slowly break the murky surface, belonging to a massive ambush predator. A 3-meter Nile crocodile erupts violently from the shallows, jaws gaping wide to snap the small mammal from the shore. Reacting with split-second agility, she leaps backward, the crocodile's massive jaws slamming shut with a bone-jarring clap on empty air. Landing firmly in the sticky mud, she flares her coarse silver mantle and roars directly into the reptilian predator's face. She bears sharp white canines, rattling an explosive war chuff that reverberates across the stunned waterhole bank. When the armored reptile lunges once more, she darts forward, slashing her heavy digging claws across its sensitive, scaly snout. Her long, curved claws strike the sensitive nostril ridges, delivering stinging pain that shocks the ancient river predator. Disoriented by the unexpected ferocity of the small mammal, the massive crocodile turns and slides backward into deeper water. The murky pool settles into silence as the reptile submerges, leaving the indomitable mother in complete command of the shore. Taking a deep, unhurried drink from the secured shallows, she quenches her thirst before turning back toward the high rocks. With her strength fully restored, she marches proudly away from the waterhole, ready to return to her protected cub. Returning from the waterhole, the mother honey badger approaches the granite kopje, immediately detecting an aggressive troop of baboons nearby. Perched above the den territory, a powerful alpha male chacma baboon barks aggressively, bearing formidable 2-inch canine fangs. Her black nostrils flare as she catches the pungent musk of the primates encroaching dangerously near her cub's den. Without hesitation, she charges straight up the steep granite shelves, her bristling silver mantle signaling an immediate, unyielding counterattack. Reaching the rock terrace, she confronts the 35-kilogram alpha baboon, who drops onto all fours with bared fangs. Lowering her heavy head, the mother badger releases an explosive, rattling war roar that echoes across the rocky slopes. The aggressive primate slaps the stone violently with both hands, lunging forward to intimidate the small armored carnivore. Completely unfazed by the display, she charges directly into the baboon's attack path, snapping her bone-crushing jaws. The baboon's long fangs graze her neck, but her rubbery hide twists freely, allowing her to snap back with lethal ferocity. She slashes forward with heavy curved digging claws, driving the startled 35-kilogram primate backward across the stone terrace. Screeching in alarmed distress, the alpha baboon scrambles hastily onto a high boulder, unwilling to risk crippling injuries. Following their defeated leader, the entire baboon troop flees across the high granite crests, completely abandoning the contested terrace. Returning to the den mouth, she emits a soft maternal chuff, and her small cub emerges safely into the sunlight. She lovingly grooms her cub's soft fur, reinforcing the unbreakable maternal bond that guarantees its survival in this ruthless land. Standing vigilant over her secure sanctuary, the fearless mother looks across the golden plains, ready for the coming evening trials. As the African sun dips low, casting crimson light across the savanna, she departs the den for an evening hunt. Moving through dry, thorny scrub at the base of the rocks, her keen black nose tracks an ominous chemical trail. Her nostrils flare deeply near a bed of dry acacia leaves, detecting the heavy musk of a dangerous ambush viper. Concealed beneath dry leaf litter, a massive puff adder lies coiled in wait, perfectly camouflaged in the fading sunset glow. The thick-bodied serpent inflates its ribbed lungs, releasing a loud, resonant warning hiss that cuts through the quiet evening air. Undeterred by the menacing warning, the mother honey badger drops low, flaring her silver mantle to confront the lethal viper. Two of the savanna's most formidable predators stare across the leaf litter, locked in a tense split-second standoff before the strike. With the fastest strike speed in the serpent world, the puff adder lunges forward, gaping jaws aimed straight at her. Relying on split-second reflexes, she twists her loose rubbery hide, dodging the lethal strike as fangs snap harmlessly on air. Before the heavy viper can recoil into striking position, she lunges in and pins its thick neck against the earth. Her bone-crushing jaws snap shut behind the serpent's broad triangular head, severing the cervical vertebrae with immense crushing force. A single violent headshake breaks the adder's spine, ending the rapid confrontation on the crimson sunlit earth below. She consumes the venomous viper steadily from the head down, absorbing vital fats and proteins for the coming cold night. Standing tall in the fading crimson twilight, she finishes her meal, completely immune to the potent cytotoxic venom within her prey. Securing a nutritious portion for her growing cub, she turns homeward as deep purple twilight settles over the African savanna. Under the silvery moon, the mother honey badger climbs the granite shelves, carrying fresh nourishment home to her waiting cub. She reaches the den entrance, delivering the food to her eager cub before standing vigilant guard over the moonlit threshold. The small cub eats hungrily in the secure shelter, while the mother's battle-tested senses remain acutely tuned to the night. Her black nostrils flare sharply against the cold breeze, detecting the heavy, musky scent of a prowling nocturnal scavenger nearby. A solitary brown hyena emerges from the shadows onto the rock terrace, its shaggy coat silhouetted against the starry sky. The massive scavenger bears powerful bone-cracking jaws, pointed ears cocked forward as it tests the boundary of the new den. Stepping instantly between the giant intruder and her hidden cub, the mother badger drops into an unyielding, low-slung combat stance. She flares her coarse silver mantle into an intimidating crest, releasing a harsh, rattling war snarl that echoes across stone. The brown hyena lunges forward in an aggressive mock charge, attempting to intimidate the small defender from the high terrace. Unfazed by its 40-kilogram bulk, she charges explosively, snapping powerful jaws and unleashing a cloud of suffocating defensive musk. Overwhelmed by her ferocious retaliation and burning chemical musk, the shaggy predator recoils in sudden distress, shaking its heavy head. Realizing that this impenetrable fighter cannot be displaced, the solitary scavenger turns and retreats down the dark, rocky slope. Standing victorious on the high ledge, she rubs her flank against the sun-warmed stone, marking an indisputable territorial boundary. With the perimeter secured, she retreats into the warm, rocky crevice, curling her muscular body protectively around her sleeping offspring. Above the quiet rock den, the African night settles into peaceful stillness under the watchful glow of a billion stars. As golden dawn breaks over the granite kopje, the mother honey badger sets out across the morning savanna to hunt. She trots with continuous low-slung momentum through tall yellow grass, her sharp senses scanning for hidden prey in the scrub. Her wet black nostrils twitch near an acacia bush, catching the sharp chemical musk of a lethal reptilian apex predator. Coiled in low, thorny branches, an enormous 8-foot black mamba rests, its gunmetal gray scales glistening in the early morning sun. Sensing the approaching mustelid, the agile serpent glides smoothly down to the dusty earth with unmatched predatory speed and grace. The mamba rears high, opening its iconic inky black mouth in a terrifying threat display that warns of lethal neurotoxic venom. Dropping low onto all fours, the honey badger flares her coarse silver mantle, unflinching before the savanna's most feared snake. With blinding speed, the black mamba launches forward, its gaping black mouth and sharp fangs striking directly at her face. Flying on lightning reflexes, she twists her stocky body aside, the serpent's fangs grazing harmlessly across her thick, rubbery hide. Pivoting instantly inside her loose skin, she counterattacks with ferocious power, snapping her bone-crushing jaws toward the serpent's neck. The thrashing mamba strikes her shoulder, but her dense hide and mutated blood receptors neutralize the fast-acting neurotoxic venom instantly. Closing her iron jaws behind the mamba's coffin-shaped head, she crushes the cervical vertebrae with overwhelming, unstoppable biting force. A single violent headshake breaks the giant serpent's spine, ending the legendary duel on the sun-baked savanna earth. Without missing a beat, she devours the 8-foot Mamba head first, replenishing vital energy reserves for her growing cub. Standing victorious in the bright morning sunlight, she turns homeward toward the rocky Canopy, master of every savanna threat. Under the intense midday sun, the mother honey badger leads her eager cub toward an ancient acacia harboring massive communal weaver nests. She demonstrates the proper climbing stance, anchoring curved front claws into the furrowed bark, while her cub watches with keen curiosity. Scrambling vertically up the rough trunk, she pulls her heavy body upward, encouraging the young cub to follow her agile ascent. With determined effort, the small cub reaches the first bough, balancing clumsily on the broad branch high above the savanna floor. Ahead, on a sturdy horizontal branch, hangs a colossal thatched weaver nest, home to hundreds of chirping savanna birds. Her heavy claws tear effortlessly through the dense woven grass, unearthing hidden chambers filled with nutrient-rich eggs and young fledglings. She steps aside with an approving grunt, letting her cub feast on the high-protein reward suspended in the acacia canopy. A sharp rustle among the high leaves signals danger as a venomous tree snake emerges from the dense acacia foliage. The slender arboreal serpent expands its throat in a defensive threat display, its large emerald eyes tracking the young cub below. Intervening instantly, the mother honey badger positions her thick body across the branch, shielding her offspring with bared ivory canines. The venomous snake strikes downward with blinding speed, but the mother snaps her crushing jaws forward in a lightning counterattack. Clamping powerful jaws behind the serpent's head, she crushes its delicate skull, neutralizing the lethal canopy threat in a single bite. She drops the lifeless serpent onto the bough, allowing her cub to inspect another neutralized predator of the African wilderness. Having secured both food and safety, mother and cub scramble down the trunk, returning to the sunlit savanna floor below. Side by side, they march through the sun-drenched grove, their unbreakable bond forged stronger through another successful survival trial. Late afternoon sun paints the weathered termite mounds in rich amber as the mother badger leads her cub into new territory. She tracks a pungent chemical scent winding around a crumbling clay spire, signaling a venomous serpent sheltering within the earthen chimney. Her keen black nostrils flare against the dry clay, catching the sharp, acrid odor of defensive venom droplets drying on stone. Coiled deep inside a cracked clay chimney, a large Mozambique spitting cobra watches the intruder with wide, unblinking dark eyes. The cobra rears high, expanding its dark-ribbed hood and opening modified fangs designed to launch pressurized streams of blinding venom. Recognizing the spitting threat, she instantly positions her broad body in front of her cub, shielding it with bristling silver fur. With explosive force, the spitting cobra expels 2 pressurized twin streams of venom, spraying toxic droplets straight toward her face. Squinting her eyes behind thick protective brow ridges, she lets the venom splash harmlessly across her coarse, rubbery facial hide. Charging through the toxic mist without hesitation, she launches an aggressive lunge, closing the distance before the serpent can reload. Her heavy curved digging claws shatter the fragile clay chimney, pinning the thrashing spitting cobra securely against the hard earth. With iron jaw power, she clamps crushing molars behind the serpent's hood, severing its cervical vertebrae in a single bite. She drops the lifeless snake onto the dust, uttering a soft maternal chuff to summon her cub from the shelter. Together on the warm clay floor, mother and cub consume the protein-rich reptile, turning another lethal encounter into life-giving nourishment. She rolls vigorously in the dry red sand, rubbing off the dried venom residue from her indestructible silver-white coat. Standing together atop the earthen ridge as sunset burns crimson, mother and cub prepare for the final nocturnal trials ahead. Under a dark, starry sky, the mother badger guides her cub across the open moonlit plain, heading back toward the rocks. She freezes abruptly in the cold grass, her sensitive nostrils catching the heavy predatory scent of Africa's supreme apex carnivores. Stalking through the silvery grass, 2 powerful adult lionesses advance silently in the moonlight, their golden eyes locked on movement. Amber eyes gleam in the dark as the apex hunters calculate a silent ambush, testing the distance to their quarry. Sensing extreme peril, she swiftly herds her cub into a narrow granite crevice, sealing it safely behind heavy rock walls. Stepping out alone to intercept the pride, the mother honey badger flares her coarse silver mantle in explosive, fearless defiance. One small 10-kilogram badger stands defiantly against 300 kilograms of apex feline muscle on the open moonlit plain. A lioness delivers a massive claw swipe, but her thick, loose hide twists freely, deflecting the heavy blow without injury. Pivoting with furious speed, she launches a terrifying countercharge, snapping bone-crushing jaws directly toward the lioness's sensitive black nose. Deploying her potent anal scent gland in an aggressive spinning charge, she releases a suffocating cloud of defensive chemical musk. Overwhelmed by the blinding stench and relentless counterattacks, the giant cats recoil in shock, shaking their heavy-maned heads. Standing totally unyielding in the moonlight, her savage war roar reverberates across the plain, asserting that she will fight to death. Conceding that tackling the armored mother risks severe disabling injury, the two lionesses turn and retreat across the dark savanna. With the supreme threat cleared, she returns to the rock cleft, calling her safe cub out with gentle maternal chuffs. Side by side under the vast, starry expanse, mother and cub stand victorious over the savanna's greatest apex predators. In the quiet pre-dawn hours, the setting moon dips low, casting long silver shadows across the tranquil granite copy shelves. The mother honey badger leads her young cub along rocky fissures, teaching it to detect hidden nocturnal geckos sheltering in crevices. Mimicking its mother's precise movements, the cub wedges small front claws into a stone crack, unearthing its own subterranean prize. Crunching on a succulent bark gecko, the young badger relishes another successful hunt, absorbing essential survival skills for the future. Her scarred silver mantle glows in the fading moonlight, an enduring testament to a mother's fearless determination against all savanna odds. Side by side, they scramble down the granite slopes, moving steadily from the high rocks toward the boundless open plains below. Across the western horizon, the silver moon sets quietly as deep lavender and indigo tones announce the coming of dawn. She halts at the savanna border, black nostrils sampling the cool morning breeze for any lingering traces of nocturnal predators. Their paired paw prints mark the damp red earth, a poignant record of 24 hours of unbroken maternal protection and triumph. Beside a fallen acacia trunk, she gently grooms her cub's coat, cleaning away dried dust from their grueling nighttime battles. The tired cub nuzzles affectionately against its mother's thick neck, resting securely in the warmth of her impenetrable maternal embrace. Resuming their synchronized rolling stride, they march across the dewy grass, heading toward the heart of their vast home territory. The first pale golden light of dawn begins to ignite the eastern sky, gently erasing the twinkling blanket of midnight stars. Moving through tall golden grass illuminated by the morning glow, the young cub walks with newfound confidence beside its mother. Standing at the threshold of their home territory, mother and cub greet the emerging dawn, ready for a new day of life. The rising sun washes over the vast golden expanse of the Kalahari as mother and cub claim their rightful home territory. Full of newfound vigor and confidence, the young cub playfully nudges its mother, eager to begin another day of wild adventures. Her battle-hardened face carries the enduring scars of relentless survival, marks of a fearless mother who yielded to no savanna predator. With gentle precision, she unearths one final nutritious prize from the red clay, watching proudly as her cub consumes it eagerly. The small cub crunches through the fresh morsel, growing stronger with every meal secured by its mother's unyielding sacrifice and courage. Side by side, they march through swaying golden grass, an unbreakable duo forged through fire, venom, and 24 hours of combat. Across this harsh and beautiful wilderness, countless dangers lurk beneath every rock and behind every thorny bush in the dry landscape. Yet in the heart of the Kalahari, no creature commands more respect or strikes more terror than the fearless honey badger. For this devoted mother, every ferocious battle, every venomous strike, and every predator confrontation was fought for one sacred purpose. Her cub now carries the ancient spirit of its ancestors, ready to endure, adapt, and conquer this ruthless African wild world. Survival on the savanna is never a permanent victory, but an eternal contract earned through courage, resilience, and unyielding will. Together, they step boldly forward into the boundless golden plains, ready to confront whatever deadly trials the wild brings next. The legend of the indestructible mother honey badger echoes across the Kalahari, an enduring symbol of relentless parental devotion and strength. The wild tale of survival continues beneath the African sun, as the eternal circle of life turns once more in majesty. In the unforgiving wilderness, survival is not victory. It is only the hard-won permission to try again tomorrow.